California's Gold is produced in association with KCET Los Angeles and is seen statewide on California Public Television. This series is endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association.
Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell, getting ready for an adventure. We've just come under the Golden Gate Bridge. We're heading out to sea, and our destination, well, over the years, it's been described as forbidding, forlorn, wind-swept, cold, wet, foggy, God-forsaken. It's also been described as a place filled with wild, scenic beauty and a refuge of sorts. Well, I'm not sure which of those descriptions is correct. Probably a little bit of all of it. But the good thing about it is we're getting ready to find out for ourselves, because we're going to spend the whole day 26 miles out in the Pacific Ocean on the Farallons in search of California's gold. This is going to be an adventure.
It was a beautiful day. The sun was shining, the water was relatively smooth, and we were moving fast. Captain Joe was in full control of his boat, the Kitty Cat, and we were making a beeline for our destination. Now, if you have really good eyesight, there it is on the horizon, that little speck. Before long, the speck got bigger and bigger and bigger. And finally, we were there. And we began what turned out to be one of the most interesting and exciting California adventures I've ever experienced.
Well, we have arrived at the Farallons. Jerry, introduce yourself to everybody.
My name is Jerry McChesney. I'm the acting manager of the Farallon National Wildlife Refuge.
And you're going to be kind of our tour guide today. You know, I'd seen pictures of the Farallons, but pictures really don't do it justice, because it's hard to tell from pictures the size, the height, the configuration of what's out here.
Yeah, that's very true.
What are we looking at?
We are
a big rock.
We're looking at what we call the Southeast Farallon Island. This is the largest island of the Farallon National Wildlife Refuge. What we have here is a point called Shubrick Point. And if you look to the top of this little hillside here, we have a little wooden structure, and that's what we call our Murre blind, where the biologists from PRBO Conservation Science monitor a colony of common murres that they've
because this is a refuge now, isn't it?
This is a national wildlife refuge.
For birds?
For birds and marine mammals and other natural resources up here on the island.
It wasn't always a refuge, and we're looking at what's left up at the top. Yep. Are we going to be able to get all the way up to the top?
We will. We'll be able to climb up the backside of the hillside, go up to the top, and look at the lighthouse. And
that's the old lighthouse that's been sitting up on top of this since the mid-1800s.
Since this light here has been up here since 1855.
Is there much to see out here? I mean, can you even walk over to these rocks?
No.
Over here?
No, you can't.
Those are separated from the main island.
Yep.
And how high up does this rock go? It looks pretty high up.
It's about 350 feet at the top.
Wow. It does look barren, forlorn, isolated. We got a beautiful day today, so it's not windswept or foggy or windy or wet.
Which is your typical day out here.
It can be all of those things, can it? Yes. So we've lucked out.
Yes, we have.
All right, now we're gonna, right now, I think the boat's gonna take us around so we can take a look at the whole island 360. Then we're gonna get off, and this is where we're gonna be spending the day, right here on this big old rock, the Farallon Islands. Boy, it sure makes a statement rising right up out of the water out here in the ocean. All right, right off the bat, you pointed out something that really makes a statement here, Jerry. What are we looking at?
We're looking at two sea caves here. This is called Great Murre Cave on the right and Little Murre Cave on the left. The one on the right is called Great Murre Cave because it actually does have a colony of common murres nesting inside the cave.
Wow.
Quite a stunning little thing there.
Do kayakers come out here and go in these caves?
No, they don't. We never see kayakers out here.
Well, it'd be a heck of a kayak trip to get out here.
It would.
And I've heard that there are lots of sharks out here in this water.
In the fall season, there are great white sharks that congregate around the Farallon Islands, and they feed on the juvenile elephant seals that are up here
They
for
call
the
this place home.
Yes, they do.
Wow. And what are those tanks up on the side of the hill?
Those are some old water tanks. Those have not been used for several decades now.
So obviously there was no fresh water out here for the light keepers, the people who were out here. They had to bring water out.
Well, actually, folks in the past have collected their own water, and that's how we get our water now. We collect rainwater that gets collected up on a cement pad up here on the island, and then that drains into a cistern that stores the water for us.
Boy, it's white out there.
That's white with bird guano.
Yeah, bird poop out there. And here's a little rock right out here.
We call that Saddle Rock.
My eyes are just taking all this in because this is such a sight to see. The way this rock, look over here in the distance, the way it kind of reveals itself as we're coming around. This is actually bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah, it's bigger than you kind of imagine. When you see it from the mainland in the distance, it looks very small. But when you get out here, it's, you know, we got over 100 acres of landmass out here just with this one group of islands here.
A whale! Look at that, Cameron, right over there. Wow. Oh, look. Oh, gosh.
It's a little one.
California gray whale?
A California gray whale.
Yep.
And here's the arch.
Here is the Great Arch, once called Murre Bridge. And if you look closely, you can actually see murres that are nesting up across the top of murres. Yeah, the common murres nesting across the
bridge because, look, it looks like a bridge across the top.
Yeah, certainly, and it's really quite stunning, isn't it?
Now, wait a minute, let me ask you something. Why is all of this here?
Well, this is all part of an underwater ridge that extends down from Point Reyes, which is just to the north, about 15 miles to the north of us. There's an underwater ridge that comes down here, and these are just little mountaintops that are coming up above the water.
Other islands around, are there?
No,
this is it.
This is it. This is it.
I mean, we have our Channel Islands in Southern California.
Yeah, but they're all part of a whole different system down there.
But in Northern California, this is it.
For offshore islands, this is it.
Well, it's a big it.
Yeah, it is.
Now, what's this fishing boat doing out here?
They're fishing.
Well, I know that. What are they fishing for? Is this good fishing out here?
This is pretty good fishing out here. Today is the first day of rockfish season, recreational rockfish season. So these guys are out here to fish for rockfish and lingcod and other stuff like that.
So you get lots of fishermen out here, but they can't go on the island.
No, they can't. The island's closed to public access.
So people go around it like we are right now, but they don't go on it.
Correct, yep.
How big a deal is it to go on this island?
I think it's a really big deal to get on the island. I mean, it's difficult, and it's a very sensitive place, which is why we limit the access to the island so much. But I remember when I first came up on the island in 1986, I guess was the first year I got up on the island. It was just an amazing experience.
Yeah.
So.
Can you remember the first time you saw this?
I can. I came out here when I first came to California in 1985. I came out here on a whale watching trip that gave us a spin around the island, and I was just, like you, I was just completely blown away, and I had to get myself back here again. Yeah,
because it was not what you expected, was it?
No, it wasn't. Just rugged, remote. You know, here we are, we're 26 miles from San Francisco, and yet we have these remote, rugged islands out here just teeming with wildlife.
Boy, I don't know. Look at this, Cameron. Look at these rocks going by and the big rock off in the background. This is almost otherworldly out here. It has a beauty, a rugged beauty to it. The rocks are jagged. The birds are flying all around. It's just, it's hard to describe. I think the pictures, I hope the pictures do it justice, but you really have a sense that you are in a very special and remote place when you are out here going around this island. This is absolutely spectacular. This is one of the most beautiful places I've seen anywhere in California. Now this is exciting. I don't know what I thought, but there's no pier, there's no dock, there's no way to get on the island.
Well, there is a way to get on the island, but it's a little different than what most people do. So what we do is we have the boat kind of ties off to a mooring buoy here. And then the big boat does.
Then the little boat has come up from the island.
Yeah, we have a landing derrick or a crane up here, and the boat gets lowered. The boat gets stored up here up on the island, gets lowered down into the water, and then he comes out and shuttles things back and forth, and then the boat will get lifted back up onto the island on the crane.
So historically, there's never been a dock or a pier or anything out here?
Never. This has been the way it's been done.
People have always had to get brought up by this big crane in a little boat.
Well, in the early days, of course, all they could do was land on the rocks. And we do still occasionally, if the landing gear goes down, that's still what we have to do, is just drop people off on the rocks, but we prefer not to do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you mean? That the boat can't get in there?
Well, we do it around in another spot around the other side of the island.
But the only way to be sure that you're safe is to do it this way, and this is the way it's been done for hundreds of years.
Well, at least since the lighthouse keepers have been here.
Yeah, in the 1850s. Well, this is exciting. This is kind of another one of those exciting parts of the journey. Give us a wave. You're coming from on the island?
Yeah, I'm coming from the island to pick you guys up.
Everything okay over there?
Everything's going all right, yep. Birds are breeding and things are going along well.
All right, we're getting ready for a big day.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll come on and we'll give you a good tour around the island.
Yeah, well, we're counting on you getting us from here to there safely.
I think today we can do it. It's nice and calm.
Sounds a little tentative.
Yeah. Well, a lot of days we can't do a landing up here. And we even have boats that'll come all the way out here planning to land on the island, and the landing conditions deteriorate with the wind and just too rough, and we got to send them back in and try another day.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, the weather's good. So we're heading to shore. That shore right over there. Okay, we have left the kitty cat, our boat. Goodbye, fellas. And we're heading to the island. Now, this is kind of an adventure itself, isn't it?
Yeah, the landings can be an adventure. Because the island is all rocky, there's no place where you can land a boat. There's no place where a dock would stand up to the winter storm.
Yeah.
So basically, we have a crane that we have to lift the entire boat out of the water into the island.
But this keeps people from coming on shore, doesn't it? I mean, boaters can't just come out here.
No, generally there's no easy access onto the island. You have to have somebody come and lift you up out of the water.
Yeah, so you know if somebody's out here trying to get on this island.
Generally, yeah, you're going to know pretty quickly. If you don't see them coming on, the birds will alert you to it very quickly.
Ah.
Swells can be 8 or 10 feet coming into this cove sometimes, and during the winter storms, we'll have 20, 25-foot swells washing into here. And of course, in those conditions, we can't actually do a landing.
So sometimes you're isolated out here.
Oh, absolutely. Particularly during the winter when we get big storms in this area. It can be, 5, 6 weeks before a boat comes out here. Take it up.
All right, here we go. Look at this.
Watch out for the cables.
Oh my gosh. Look at this.
And this is how you ride onto the island.
We're being raised up out of the water. No wonder you can't do this in a windstorm.
Oh no, you can't do this in rough weather, and that's why most boats can't land on the island.
Oh,
it's really the only way to get back and forth.
Look at this. Look over here.
It's not too often you get to go flying in a boat.
Oh, wow. Whoa. Oh my gosh. This thing's sturdy. It holds well.
Yeah, the boat and the crane is rated for 3,000 pounds.
Okay, so we're not 3,000 pounds.
No, we tend to keep the load in the boat at less than 600, and then the boat itself is about 1,200 pounds, so we keep well under.
Oh my gosh.
That's beautiful visibility today.
This is an adventure in itself.
Yeah, the ride up is...
oh wow, so
it could be
here
an
we
amusement
go.
park ride.
Look, we're going into... Where are we going?
This is called the East Landing.
Swinging us around.
Yeah. So we're coming into the landing on Southeast Farallon Island. And what they'll do is when we come in, they'll spin the boat around and we'll land it right on that little platform there.
Oh my gosh. Howdy. This is very creative and very practical because this is the only way really to get on.
Absolutely.
On land.
You can see looking into the coves that there's no place safe to land a boat. There's no sandy beaches out here. It's all rocky.
Wow. Look at this. This is an engineering feat in itself. Just having a crane out here like this.
We got to go in a touch once it gets spun around. All right, and I'm actually going to hop off the back and help land the boat.
Whatever you need to do.
There.
Well, wait a minute, you're leaving us alone in the boat?
Yep, you can ride on your own from here.
Oh, we're on our own.
Okay, I'm going to go down. I'm going to need to come in a touch. I'm going down just a touch to get through that.
Whoa.
Okay, Claudia,
Wow.
go in a touch, okay?
We're here. Well, we're being officially welcomed to the Farallon Islands by not only a gull, but thousands of gulls here,
There's
Pete.
approximately 20,000 western gulls that breed on the island. They're the most conspicuous bird that you see when you walk around.
They're everywhere.
They are
They're
everywhere.
loud. You get used to this sound when you live out here?
You do. You get used to it after a little while. You get used to the sound. You get used to the smell of all the guano on the island.
Well, I wasn't going to bring that up.
Oh,
But
it's part of
there
the
is a
experience.
definite smell and flies everywhere.
Yeah, when the weather's calm like this, we have a lot of the kelp flies as well, and they can be a little annoying. They usually hang out down with the elephant seals. But,
Some of them have ventured up this way, believe me.
Exactly, and there'll be some riding back on the boat with you as well.
All right, now listen, there's some do's and don'ts, aren't there? Can we walk down this? We can walk down this path, right?
Absolutely. So it's a National Wildlife Refuge, so the wildlife always comes first. It's their island, and we are the visitors here. And there's fewer than 100 people that get to come out here a year. It's probably more like 50 people maybe total that get to come out here a year.
So it's a big deal that we're here.
It is. It's a very unusual experience for people.
And we had to kind of sign a lot of papers and make a lot of agreements that we would stay on the path, that
Absolutely.
we would do everything you told us to do,
Right.
that we wouldn't wander off. That's all to protect the birds.
Yes, to protect the wildlife. So we have some very simple rules during the seabird breeding season, which runs from March until end of August, early September. It's their island, and we need to just make sure that we're not causing any harm by being here. So it's important. There's a lot of nests around. You'll see as we're walking down the path, like this one right here. So you want to make sure that you're on the path.
Look right here. There's 2 eggs
And a freshly hatched chick.
and a little chick right here. So Mama and Papa don't like people like us wandering through here, do they?
No, they definitely don't, and we'll probably feel their wrath a little bit later on as
What do you mean? We're going to be, I'm feeling like Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds here.
Oh, it's very much like that.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not. It's not quite as dramatic as in the birds, but they do attack. I mean, they will come down, they will hit you in the head, they will peck you in the head with their bill. It's part of their defense mechanism. So they want to protect their nest first and foremost.
I
And
think
they see
that
us
was
as a
in the
threat.
fine print of the agreement that I signed.
Well, we didn't want to give all the secrets away.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's keep on walking. This is a little pathway that was put here just to get us through the birds?
This pathway was originally built by the lighthouse keepers when the houses in the lighthouse were installed to help bring gear from the landing up to the house. And at one time it ran all the way to the far side of the island. And it was the North America's shortest narrow gauge railway.
Really? So
Yep.
it ran on tracks?
Yeah, so you can see there's still a few of the old railroad
Look at
tracks.
this, right here.
Most of them have rusted out and been replaced with sections of pipe.
Wow.
But-
And the lighthouse, you can't really see it. It's on the other side of the top of the mountain here. But the lighthouse was right up there.
Yeah, the lighthouse is right on top of the hill. It's about 320 feet in elevation, and we'll go up there in a little bit.
Boy, these gulls do not like us here.
No, they definitely, they'll yell, they'll scream, and they'll attack if you get too close to their nest. There's
Now
one.
you got me skitty. Wow, oh look, see this one is not happy, look, because she's sitting on her eggs.
She's letting us know that she doesn't like us being here. Her first and foremost job is to protect those eggs against any potential predators, and really the only things out here that could be a threat to them are people going in the wrong place or other gulls. So you said you're interested in the history of the island, and you can see evidence of some of the past human history on the island all around us. There's old foundations and there's old concrete paths like this that don't appear to go anywhere. And this was left over from when the Navy was out here. They had a radio beacon at the end of this. There's a big mast here and a little house.
So the Navy was here. Was that part of the lighthouse?
No, that was after the lighthouse keepers. The Navy was out here during between World War I and World War II. And then after the Navy left, the Coast Guard was here to man the lighthouse and to take care of the island.
So people have been out here for years, for a long time.
Yeah, there's a very long history of human habitation on the island.
All right, now what is this? This looks modern here.
This is modern. We actually won an award as the Refuge of the Year for this past year, due largely to our conservation efforts. So all the power on the island now is generated by solar.
Right there, but it's not, there's not much sun out here, is there?
There's enough. It's actually a very efficient system. It can collect a lot of energy even on days like this where it's completely overcast. And all of our regular power needs are provided by the solar, and there's a bank of batteries in there that the solar panels charge.
So this is, whoa, I am telling you, and there's why she's so upset. There's her little baby and 2 eggs.
Yeah, and you can see on this egg that it's just starting to hatch.
Be careful. Oh, gosh. Wow.
So you can see the bill of the chick just coming out through the shell there.
But look at this bird. This bird, these birds are going to jump us.
Absolutely. That's their job, to protect their chicks and to protect their nests. And it, as I said before, it's their island, and we're just the visitors here.
Wow, look, she came right back, didn't she?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They don't want to stay off the nest for very long because then it's exposed. The chicks could, well, not on a day like today, but on a colder day, they could get hypothermia, or they could get preyed on by another gull.
Wow.
The western gulls will often eat each other's young.
Wow, that's probably the most surreal walk that I've ever taken anywhere in California on this pathway through this group of gulls.
Yeah, the Farallon Islands are definitely much different than any place else I've ever been in California. Down here we have actually nest boxes for some of our burrow nesting species. So there's a small bird called the Cassin's auklet that nests out here, and they nest underground. And in order to make them easier to monitor for research purposes and also to create more habitat, we've built them little houses.
So you've got about 50 little houses right out here.
Yeah, so these are auklet nest boxes, and we bury them underground so they simulate a natural burrow. And then we put these little platforms on top to provide a little more shade to keep the boxes cool.
A tree!
Yeah, that's one of our 3 trees on the Farallons.
There are 3 trees?
Yep, as part of the Farallon National Forest. There's 1 tree next to this house.
This is the National Forest right here. What kind of tree is this?
This is a Monterey cypress.
Whoa!
He's coming after you.
Now, was this tree planted by the lighthouse keepers?
There was originally a tree planted by the lighthouse keepers, and that's the one that's fallen over. And then this was planted again by the Coast Guard.
Wow, this is beautiful right here. And what's this structure next to it?
This is referred to as the Coast Guard house. It's one of 2 original lighthouse keepers' cottages that were built
back in...
Built in this one, 1878 and 1880.
Wow, is this where you live?
We live in the second house, so we'll see when we go beyond that.
I still don't see how you get used to the gulls. Do they ever quieten down?
They get a little quieter at night, but...
So they're going 24 hours
a day. Yeah, they're constantly making noise and squawking at each other and squawking at us. But you do kind of get used to it after a while. You just raise your voice to be heard over them.
Another tree!
Yeah, this is the second of our Monterey cypress on the island. And it's one of over 100 that were initially planted by the lighthouse keepers on the island.
So they planted 100. What were they trying to do out here?
I believe they were trying to simulate conditions on the mainland, make it feel more like home, have a little forest, you know, make the island seem a little less barren.
They planted 100 and there are 3 left.
There are 3 left, and they're the 3 trees that are in the lee of the island. So this one's in the lee of the PRBO house, that one's in the lee of the Coast Guard house.
Now what's this building?
This is the main living quarters for us right now.
This is where you live. How many of you are out here?
There's 6 of us on the island right now, and that's about our maximum crew.
So there are never more than about 6, 7 people out here?
No, the most we're allowed, according to Fish and Wildlife regulations, are 8 people on the island. And we generally only need about 5 or 6 to get our work done.
We don't count because we're coming in for the day and leaving.
Correct. Yeah.
You got your laundry out here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a washing machine, but in order to conserve energy, we just hang it out on the line to dry.
But aren't you afraid that it's going to get poop on it from all these gulls?
Well, it will, and that does happen. And then you just kind of have to wash it again, or you go with it. I mean, you look at my jacket, I've already got a lot on me.
Oh, look.
So.
You're covered.
Yeah, that's just...
Am I going to get some?
Most likely by the end of the day.
That'll be my badge of honor. I can prove to everybody that I've been out here.
Absolutely, some genuine Farallon Island guano.
How you doing?
I'm doing really well.
I've been getting the $5 tour so far.
Great.
How long you been out here?
This is the 9th year that I've been coming out here. I've been out for about 3 weeks this time, but
how long do you all stay out here at a time?
About 6 weeks at a time, and then we get a 2-week break. But Pete and I spend about 18 weeks a year out here on the island.
So do you need to know what's going on back on the mainland? Do you need any news? How do you find out what's going on?
Well, we're pretty lucky that in the last few years we've gotten a little more technology out here. We're hooked up to the internet.
Oh, okay.
You can still listen to the radio from San Francisco, but one of the great things about being out here is that you're not there. Yeah. Even though we're only 27 miles away, you're out in the wild wilderness, and that's something that not many people get to experience. So
it's just you all and the birds.
Absolutely, and that's
the flies.
And the flies and some fleas as well, but
I guess you get used to it.
It's all the price of admission.
Okay, we've been invited to, well, first off, we had to take our shoes off.
Yes.
Why did you make me take my shoes off?
Well, we try to avoid tracking the bird droppings into the house. Try to keep it as clean as we can out here.
So it's all over the bottom of our shoes.
Yes, it is.
Very difficult to keep things clean out here.
This is the original staircase in one of the original lightkeeper houses.
Yes, it is. From over 100 years ago.
And this is where you call home.
Indeed.
Can we take the home tour?
Yeah, we'll give you a little tour around.
All right, what are we seeing? Well, this is nice.
Yeah, this is we actually have pretty comfortable living conditions here. This is our living room. And I
thought maybe you were going to be living in primitive conditions out here.
Oh, thankfully, no. I mean,
you've got easy chairs and
we
whole thing set
we try
up
to make
here.
It comfortable because people work very hard and they're out in the conditions and getting attacked by gulls and every day. So when you come back at night, it's nice to have a relaxing place to sit.
Is there anything we should see in here? There's a lot of stuff around here.
Certainly, there's a lot of neat things. This is a neat thing to check out on the wall. If you look at that, it's actually a piece of an inflatable boat. A Zodiac, you see it's cut out, and you see there's a big hole in the middle of it. And that hole was bitten out of that boat by a great white shark.
You're kidding.
No, this was from back over 20 years ago in the 1980s.
Wait a minute, we came over in a Zodiac today.
Yeah, well, the sharks are all around the island when they're here, which actually really isn't right now. They're mostly here in the fall, but they can be anywhere.
You didn't give me a disclaimer on that ride over here today.
Well, I didn't want to scare you.
Oh, okay. And what else have you got to see?
Well, there's all kinds of interesting pieces of history. This actually is a hook that was used to catch a great white shark out here in the late 1980s. Now, it's illegal to fish for great white sharks now.
Wow, look at the size.
But look at the size of that
hook.
Yeah, you just realize how big of an animal that is, how impressive of an animal it is, and why it's an amazing thing that they can go free now and not be hunted by people anymore.
Well, see, we saw the whales coming over. We didn't see any sharks.
No, it's really not the right time of the year, and also the sharks won't let you see them.
Yeah, they don't come up.
No, if they come up, it's for a reason.
Yeah, to take a bite out of your boat.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to see them too close.
What?
You don't want to see them too close.
What are all these flags around the top of the ceiling?
These flags are used or given out to members of the Farallon Patrol, and that's a group of volunteer boat owners, and they bring us and all our gear back and forth to the island. So every 2 weeks or so, we have a skipper who volunteers his time and his boat and pays for the fuel and brings us and our gear back and forth. So every year we create a flag for the members of the patrol that year.
Well, they're very important. You wouldn't be able to get out here otherwise.
No, it would be impossible for us to do this, and the program would stop functioning entirely if we didn't have the patrol.
You've got kind of a little bird homage over here. What's this all about?
They're just little gifts that people send us every once in a
This is the
while.
quietest.
Well,
Of course it would have to make a noise.
so that's a little Audubon stuffed toy for the California gull.
And all these others are on the island as well?
Yeah, these are all species that are on.
That's a puffin.
This is a mock-up of a tufted puffin that somebody made. And hopefully we'll get to see some puffins as we go around today.
Here's the shark
There's a
right
great white
here.
shark. This is actually some other stuffed toy of an Atlantic puffin that somebody sent out here. And black oyster catcher that's very
Are they
old.
out here?
They're also out here. They're very conspicuous. You'll see them in the intertidal zone, and they're also very noisy. Not quite as noisy as the gulls, but...
Wow. So what do y'all do? Sit around here at night, and what are all these books? What are all these things that you've got around here?
Well, we have a lot of information and data that we collect out here. We've been out here every day for the last 40 years, not us personally, but PRBO, Point Reyes Bird Observatory, working with the Fish and Wildlife Service out here. So we collect a lot of information. We have a lot of data, and we do a journal every single day, every single night. It's been done every day since the 1960s, and we have records
you have
of
a
them.
journal.
Yes.
Where is that?
Well,
Where are they?
today's journal is here, but 40 years of journals are over on the wall, and you can just pick any day, pick a day out of...
And open it up.
Sure. And see what was going on the
Look at
Farallon
this.
Islands.
That's amazing. So you can go back in time. You've got bird counts. Turn around. Let's see. You've got bird counts every day. You don't have to recount all these birds every day, do you?
No, we don't. We just have specific counts for certain species. If we counted everything every single day...
Well, that's all you'd be doing.
That's all we do.
Exactly.
But you keep, this is a wonderful record just to look back and see.
There's incredible history here. You can see the changes through the decades. You know, when the island first became a refuge and biologists were out here, there were fishermen shooting sea lions. The Navy was dropping bombs on Middle Farallon. There's huge changes. You can pick historical events. You know, the '89 earthquake. Someone almost got knocked into a gulch. The lighthouse was shaking.
Wow.
All of that, through all that time, people have been out here observing and watching and cataloging what's going on.
So this island over the years has written its own unique history book.
Indeed, from over the past hundreds of years where there were people out on the island hunting and sealing, and especially for us over the past 40 years, cataloging the return of the wildlife to the island.
Not only cataloging the return of birds and mammals to the island, but you've been out here safeguarding this island.
Yeah, it's one of our main duties here. It's a very special place, so it's a responsibility that we love and we take very seriously.
Okay, we have left the house. We are walking out back through the laundry hanging on the line. And Russ, well, first off, we're staying right on the pathway like we're supposed to.
Yes.
Where are we heading now?
Well, Huell, we're going all the way up this trail, all the way up the switchbacks that you see here, slowly, and work our way up to the lighthouse at the top.
So we're going to go all the way up all these switchbacks to the very top of the hill and see the old lighthouse up there. And that ought to give us a great view up there, too.
It's a beautiful view in all directions.
We're walking up the rock, and Russ, how did these walls, these rock walls, get here?
Well, they were built by hand with the construction of the lighthouse in the 1850s with just a lot of sweat, hard work, and a few mules.
How'd they get mules out here?
They brought them out on boats. There were times when they had cows and pigs and mules out on this island, quite a few domestic animals.
But they built these rock walls over 150 years ago, and these walls just go right up the side of the hill.
Yep. It's kind of essential to be able to keep the trail going up to the lighthouse. And we've done some recent work to strengthen the trail, but it's lasted a long time.
Wow, and look out here at the view from up here. This is absolutely spectacular, looking out at your two little houses down there where the lighthouse keepers' families used to live, where you all live now. Boy, that is something to see. Their eggs even almost like out in the middle of the pathway here.
Yeah, the gulls will build their nests just anywhere they want, and they cover just about every inch of the island.
So you really have to be on your, you have to keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah, it's not only important to make sure you stay on the trails, but you also have to keep your eyes open, and you spend a lot of your time looking down to make sure that you're not causing any disturbance or damaging any nests.
Wow, now look, now we're seeing them all up in the side of the rocks here. So they like living in steep terrain, don't they?
They like it everywhere. There's a lot of them down on the flat areas too, but up on the steep terrain, there's a lot of places where their chicks can hide, so it's a little safer habitat for them.
And look out here at these rocks up on top of the mountain over here. What is this? It looks like they're just weathering away.
Yeah, the entire island is composed of this crumbly granite, and a lot of times you'll get little rock falls and bits of the island will reshape themselves, and we end up with these kind of spires on top of some of the hilltops.
Wow, and again, look at this out here. The higher we go, the more interesting it becomes looking out. Now, where's San Francisco? Straight ahead?
San Francisco's actually on the other
Oh,
direction.
on the other side. I'm totally
you're
turned around.
Yep. The next thing going that way is Japan, actually.
Whoa! Oh my gosh, look what just happened. Look at this.
That's their other form
I
of
was
defense.
just bombed.
That's the gull's other form of defense.
It's all over me now. Look at this.
A nice dose of hot excrement.
So they do that?
They do that on purpose. Yes.
You're kidding.
It's a defense. Most things don't like getting crapped on.
Oh gosh, it's behind my ear. Oh my gosh, how do you get this off? Just wipe it on your pants?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can see that I've already got enough.
Now I've really been initiated.
Yeah.
And he really had been saving up for me too.
Yeah, he got you pretty good.
Gosh. Look, these aren't moving.
No, sometimes they're
holding their
pretty stubborn.
ground.
Yep.
He's not going anywhere. He's not going to let us by. And I'm not going by. You're going to go first. Now there's a gull with a bird's eye view, and look out here at what that gull is seeing. We've come to the top of the hill here, the mountain here. We're looking straight down. There's a little boat off in the distance coming straight for us. And we've come up here, obviously, to see the old lighthouse. Now, is this the original? This is where it was, right?
Yep, the base of the lighthouse on the far side is the original lighthouse. From
This one was built in
the 1850s.
Wow.
Yep, the original base of it. The old lens has been removed, but the base is the original part of the lighthouse.
Yeah,
the
when you
oldest in
talk
California.
about the old, this is the oldest lighthouse in California.
On the Pacific coast of North America.
Wow. Now, you talk about the lens has been removed. Come on up here, Cameron, because, Jerry, you found something walking up.
Yeah, we still find little pieces of the old top of the lighthouse along the trails here, and I found this just down the path here. And this is a piece of the old top of the lighthouse, some of the glass.
Lens.
I don't know if it's the lens or not. It looks kind of like lens-like, but the lens has been preserved, and you can see it over on the mainland. So it's some part of the old glass or something from the light.
But there's not a very good story about what happened to the lighthouse, is there, Pete?
Oh, well, when the lighthouse was automated and they were removing the top of the structure to put up the mast light that's there now, they basically, instead of removing all of it, which would have been very difficult and expensive, they just toppled it down the hillside.
They just pushed it over.
Yeah, it was the easiest, most cost-effective thing for them to do.
Back in the days when historic preservation was important, right?
No, historic preservation and disturbance to wildlife were not issues at the time, and so they didn't worry about destroying gull nests or anything. They just toppled it down the
I kind of
hill.
wish the old lighthouse was here. It looks a lot better than solar panels and this electronic blinking light you got up here.
Yeah, it's very nice to have an automated lighthouse that runs on solar, doesn't use much energy, but it is probably one of the ugliest lighthouses on the West Coast.
Okay, we're walking around the lighthouse because Russ wanted to show us something. I have a feeling, Russ, This is what you wanted to show us right here.
Yeah, this is the original base of the Farallon Lighthouse, which was built in the 1850s. And is actually the oldest lighthouse on the Pacific coast of North America.
Yeah, now see, this has some character to it.
Yep.
And originally then the lens and the light was up on top of this.
Yep, there was a big glass structure that came up with a beautiful Fresnel lens in the middle.
And now you've got a electronic light with a gull sitting on the top of it up there.
Uh-huh.
They sit anywhere, don't they?
They do. They do. They use every inch they can.
All right, now we're up here, and now's our chance to take we can take almost a 360. There are the two little houses. I say they're little because they look awful little all the way down there. We're looking out at the rest of the island over here. We're looking right down the rocks with all the gulls. We got rocks out offshore. Then down here, we've got this beautiful scene. Look at this down here. This is absolutely beautiful. And then more rocks off to the side. This is really a very special.
Yeah, it's a tremendous view from up here. You get to look out over the ocean, over Murre Bay, and this is actually a little separate island here called West End Island, and coming through Maintop Bay to the islets, and then finally down here where you see all the Murres, that's an area called Fertilizer Flat.
We went around the island in a boat, but every way you see it, it has a different dimension to it, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. When you look at the island from up here, it looks very flat down below, but when you're looking at it from the water, you can actually see there's quite a bit of a slope.
And we're looking at it in person today, but people at home can see it as well.
Yeah, just recently we installed a webcam on top of the lighthouse, and it's sponsored by the California Academy of Sciences, Fish and Wildlife Service, and PRBO. And so you can log in to the website, and we'll give you that. You can give it out to the viewers.
So we'll put that on the screen right now, and people can literally go. Is it a live shot all the time?
Yeah, it's live 24 hours. At night there isn't a whole lot to see, but during the day you can come and view it, and it's set to go around and look at different areas on the island.
Yeah, but wait a minute. This is a perfect time to talk about what people can see and can't see, because we can see all this today. Lots of days, you told me there's so much fog out here, you can't see your hand in front of your face.
Absolutely. Usually this time of year, actually, it can be quite foggy. For us to see West End or even the islets here from the lighthouse, a lot of times those will disappear in the fog.
Okay, now we've come to another part of the island, right down here next to the water. And Jerry, I got to tell you, I'm kind of glad to see something other than birds. And we are looking at some very big mammals here. What are we looking at?
We're looking at northern elephant seals. These are some subadult males that are up here for the molt, which they come up and do during the summertime.
And they are, the fact that we're seeing them is a big success story. This is something that makes you very happy.
It is, it really is. I mean, here we are, it's the 100th anniversary of the refuge. This is one of our big success stories, along with just the increases in the numbers of bird and other mammals. This is an animal that in the early 1800s, when there was a lot of seal hunters out here on the island, completely eliminated northern fur seals and elephant seals from the island.
So they were almost hunted to extinction out here.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they were. These elephant seals were thought to be completely extinct at one time.
Well, how did you get them back on the island? Because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you've got 10 or 15 right there. Oh, look! There's a whole bunch of them out on the point.
Yeah, those are California sea lions that you see there.
Okay, those are sea lions.
Those are sea lions.
These are elephant seals.
These are elephant seals, different species. But so they were thought to be extinct, and then they were.
I threw you off with my looking down there at the seals. I'm sorry, I got excited, but because seals were never extinct. Or even close to being extinct.
Actually, the sea lions were pretty much wiped out from the island, too. There used to be a very huge colony of probably 200,000 northern fur seals on the island. They were completely wiped out in the early 1800s. These elephant seals were completely wiped out. So almost everything, a lot of the wildlife here was just completely eliminated.
There was no idea of conservation back then, was there?
No, there really wasn't. And these elephant seals were rediscovered on an island off the coast of Mexico called Guadalupe Island.
And you brought them here?
And well, we didn't bring them here, but the Mexican government protected them. and their numbers began to increase, and they started extending their range back into these historic places. And they didn't come back here to the Farallons until the early 1970s. We had our first sighting here in well over 100 years in 1971. They started breeding a few years later, and now we have
I kind of take this for granted. Look at this over here, Cameron. These beautiful, big animals. I call them mammals. You call them animals, I guess?
Well, we call them marine mammals, or
marine mammals.
Pinnipeds. Pinnipeds are the seals and sea lions.
Look at that big one. How much does he weigh?
He's pretty big. I don't know, maybe close to 1,000 pounds, something like that. But these guys they're subadult males and they're big, but they're actually still nothing like what the full adult bulls get to be that are up somewhere around 2 tons or so.
And I'm surprised that they'll let us get this close to them.
Well, a lot of the sea lions won't let you get this close. They'll go scampering into the water, and so we make sure we don't go scaring them off. Elephant seals, for some reason, just aren't quite so scared of people, and that's why they were so easily hunted, was people could walk right up to them and club them and kill them.
We have discovered art amongst the birds. What's the deal here, Pete?
This little tree branch here is kind of a Farallon sculpture. It was a part of the old tree that was cut down and piled up in this group of rocks here, just to, make something of visual interest and also provide a perch for some birds to sit on.
Yeah, they need a perch. They don't have anywhere.
Yeah, there isn't any place else they can sit around here.
But this is art. This is
Farallon art. It's an original.
And we go from that art to tree number 3. And Russ, you've got to tell us a little bit about this tree, because we've seen 2 already. This is the 3rd one.
Yep, this is the 3rd one. It's a Monterey pine tree, and this tree is really amazing because even though it's over about 90 years old, it basically looks like a big shrub. You can see it comes out of the ground and it just turns.
It's like flat almost on the ground.
Because basically the only reason this tree's alive is because it's sheltered from the winter winds by this hill.
Oh, but wait a minute, the wind has blown it this way.
It's true, at this time of year it is, but during the winter, the wind blows from the south, from the other way. So basically it takes a beating half of the time and it's protected the other half of the time.
Boy, this really shows, look at this, Cameron, how strong the wind is, that it would blow that tree all the way down like that.
This is a tree that if it were, standing straight like it should, should be 40 feet or more tall.
This is amazing, with the water crashing in on the shore, and then look at this. This is otherworldly. This has another whole feeling to it than the other side of the island.
Yeah, this is the side of the island that was never really built up. They didn't have any buildings or paved paths on this part of the island. So it's more rugged trail. And then we're going to climb pretty much right up the face of there, up to the blind.
We're going to climb up the face?
Yep. It's the only way to get there.
Boy, this is spectacular down here on right by the ocean with the waves crashing in. And then I got to tell you, anybody who thinks the Farallons are monolithic, just one big pile of rocks, this has got a whole nother feel to it over here than where we've been earlier today.
Yeah, earlier today we were on the main part of the island where Lighthouse Hill and where all the human habitation is, the cart path and all the structures.
That's where the city is.
The city for the Farallons. And now in this area down here, this is an area called Shubrick Point, this hill. And it's a little more unspoiled. There were never any buildings put over in here. Wow. There was no paved paths, so it's a little more natural on this side of the island.
This is like something off another planet.
Yeah, it is. The Farallons are very much something out of Mars.
I think it's the way the sun is shining. And then look over here, Cameron. There's the old lighthouse up here. We were up on top of that rock. There's always something to see around here.
Oh, absolutely.
Including, instead of looking out at the scenery, when we're walking, we have to be looking down to make sure we're not stepping on eggs.
Yeah, it's always very important to be watching where you're going, one, to avoid stepping on eggs, and also it's very rocky and uneven here, just to make sure you don't fall down.
All right, I'm following you all.
All right.
I'm looking down. I don't want to step on any eggs, but I also want to look up and see this scenic beauty in front of me, too. Okay, we're almost to the top. It's a beautiful view looking down. It gets better the higher up we go, but look, we still got more to go. Russ, you're gonna go first.
Yep, I will just cross the troll bridge.
All right, this is the bridge.
Yeah, just to get us across this little gap here.
What happens if a gull attacks us on the bridge?
You try to hold on.
Okay, we've crossed the bridge.
Okay, and then just step up here.
Boy, if you slipped, you'd go all the way. Look where you'd go.
Yeah, it'll be a pretty good fall.
So the watchword up here is hold on. Okay, we're almost to the top. I didn't know it was going to be this much of a climb, but boy, this gets you up to the top. I assume it's worth it up here, but it is really getting here. It's half the fun. Look out there. Well, wait, look over here. We got visitors. They're guarding the top of the rock. Okay, now we've come inside this little hut up here. What is this called?
This is the Murre blind, and it's
The Murre blind.
Murre blind, because we're looking out from here on a colony of common murres, one of the largest on the island.
And the whole idea is we're hidden, so they're not scared away.
Right, exactly. So this gives us a place where we can monitor the productivity and population of the species without disturbing them.
Through these little holes
Through these windows.
in the side of the blind. Look at these birds, thousands of them here.
This is a colony of approximately 16,000 common murres that we're looking at from up here in the blind.
Now, there used to be a lot more here, didn't there?
Yeah, historically, back in the early 1800s, there were estimates of approximately 1 million murres that bred on the island.
1 million?
Almost 1 million birds.
And there's a fascinating story about what happened to them.
Yeah, during the gold rush, when people were coming to San Francisco in large numbers, there wasn't enough infrastructure to support that population, and there was a very large demand for eggs. And so people started coming out here to the Farallon Islands and collecting the eggs of common murres to feed the population in San Francisco.
And that pretty well wiped out the population out here.
It did. It took the population down from approximately 1 million murres to down to almost 6,000 by the time they were finished collecting eggs. And what they would do is they would come out to the island and they would flush all the birds and smash every egg that they could find.
Why?
So that the next day they could come back and collect all the fresh ones.
Oh, they wanted fresh eggs.
Right. They
So
didn't want
would-
eggs that they'd been incubating for a while, that had already been fertilized and incubated and might have a chick in them. So they smashed everything they found. Then they came back the next day and the day after and the day after and got all the freshly laid eggs.
And this happened for decades and decades and decades until the murres were almost completely gone.
Yes, it continued going until this was actually made a refuge in 1909.
So how are the murres doing? It looks to me like they're doing pretty darn good.
They have been doing quite well the last couple of years. Their population has been growing rapidly in the last 10 years or so.
How many did you say are here now?
Now we have approximately 250,000.
Compared to 1 million
Compared to 1 million. So it's still only a quarter of the historic population
before the gold rush.
before the gold rush.
Okay, we're ending up where we started this morning. Right here at the boat where we came on the island. Boy, when we got here this morning, I didn't know. I'll be honest with you, fellas, I had absolutely no idea what to expect. And that's probably not that unusual, is it?
I think that's probably pretty much what everybody says, don't you think?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, there are not that many people coming on this island.
No, there aren't that many people who come out here, and there aren't that many people who know about it. Even people who have lived in the Bay Area their entire lives don't know that we're out here. And so it's always a surprise when people come out and they see what's going on out here.
You know, that's so interesting because now it's cleared up. We can actually, what are we looking at right over there?
That's Mount Tamalpais in Marin County.
San Francisco is
just to the right of it. You can see some of the buildings of the city down below.
So it's
to the
really
right.
pretty close.
It's less than 30 miles to, one of the biggest cities in the U.S.
And yet you are literally and figuratively in another world when you're over here.
Yeah, it's a completely different world on the Farallons. You really feel like you're out in the middle of the ocean, even though it's only a 30-mile trip.
Why is it important that this place is here?
It's important because it's
tremendous concentration of wildlife. It's a unique place, and it's important to preserve and to study and to learn from. We at PRBO have been out here for almost 4 decades and hope to keep going, and it's just really an incredible special place.
Well, it has been a special place even all the way back to the earliest days because it's had so many chapters. Let's go through them real quickly. You said the Russians were here.
Yeah, the first people to come out to the island were fur sealers. So they came out to harvest the fur seals and the elephant seals. And originally it was guys from Boston who came out this way, and then they were replaced by the Russians, and they had a permanent camp out here for a while until pretty much they wiped out all the seals. When they left, then they were replaced by the egg harvesters during the gold rush.
Yeah.
And finally, after they left, then the lighthouse keepers were out here, then the
Navy
Coast Guard
was here.
and the Navy, and eventually in the late 60s, Fish and Wildlife took over the island, and PRBO came out, and it's been a refuge and a conservation site ever since.
And it will continue to be. There it is, right over your shoulder, Farallon National Wildlife Refuge. And for people who have never been to this island or will never have an opportunity to come to this island, I think what we have seen and experienced today gives everybody kind of a pretty good idea of what's out here, don't you?
Yeah, I do think so. It's you got to see a lot of what is out here at this time of year, and so will everybody else.
Well, we were attacked by birds. We were pooped on by birds. We hiked to the top of the Lighthouse Mountain and the bird blind mountain. We've been just about everywhere you can go and seen everything, just about everything you can see. You hadn't held anything back, have you?
No, I think we tried to give you a pretty good tour of the island and let you know what's going on out here. And you know, during different seasons, different things are happening. Right now, it's a main seabird breeding season, so it's all about the gulls and the murres and all the breeding seabirds.
We were out here at a good time, and I like those elephant seals and those California seals.
Yeah, so during the other seasons, during the fall season, there's a lot of white sharks around the island, and there's a lot of migrating land birds that come through. And then during the winter, the elephant seals are breeding, so they're in big numbers.
Migrating flies.
Yep,
that's part of
they're going to ride back
ambiance.
on the boat with you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. You're doing a great job out here. We have had an absolutely wonderful day here on this island, this National Wildlife Refuge, which is very much a part of California's gold. What an amazing place. What an amazing day we had. And if you'd like to go on this Farallon Islands adventure again, share it with family or friends, or perhaps donate a copy to your local school or library, well, it's available on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.